So after Invincible Season 3 came out, there was a lot of debate online over who was the most strongest character in all of fiction. People were wondering who could defeat Conquest if they were given the opportunity. And a lot of names were thrown around, you know, the normal Goku, Gojo, World-Destroying Hulk, Cosmic Superman, all the greats. But then it got me thinking about actual characters who were even stronger than those. And I came to the realization that all these characters fucking suck. They would get their ass immediately slapped by this top 10, 100% confirmed list that I have standing here right now. So I'm going to be explaining characters who could obviously solo all of fiction. Starting off with number 1, we have Terrence from the Angry Birds movies and video games. Terrence is a threat to behold. Not only does he have super strength, he's an actual immovable object. No one can move him. And as well as we see in the Angry Birds toon cartoons that they had playing on, I think, Netflix back in the day, we can see that in the Angry Birds movie, Chuck claims that he can move at the speed of light. And then we see again in the Angry Birds toon when him and Terrence face off in a race. We see that if he's moving at the speed of light, Terrence therefore is moving at least double if not triple the speed of light, if not using teleportation or instant transmission. So this bird not only is immovable, but is also the fastest thing in the universe. Like, nothing can compare to that. Next, we got
handsome, glorious Richard Watterson. Oh, just looking at that oiled mud up, man. Ugh.
Now, some people will focus on Richard Watterson's strength when he's in that car scene and he steps out and is instantly able to stop his body in the force of a moving car. That's cool and all, don't get me wrong, but frankly, just off that power scaling alone, he's not soloing anyone. What I want to focus on is when he gets a job. That's when the fabric of reality ends up tearing in the world of Gumball. All Richard would have to do in this situation, let's say he's up against World-Destroying Hulk, he would just have to get on a construction site, start building some trusses or something, start throwing them up, and boom! Reality collapses in on itself. Hulk is no more. There's no more villains or threats in his existence. Next, we have every toon from the Looney Tunes or Disney. Now, in Who Framed Roger Rabbit, there is a simple way around this in that they were saying that toons, the only way they could be destroyed is through this liquid vat of acid that they concocted. But for the terms of this argument, I'm just going to say that none of the other villains or heroes that they're going up against have knowledge of this because that seems stupid. It's like Kryptonite and Superman. If you're going to pit one against another, you're not going to say the other person has Kryptonite because then the argument just goes out the window. We're just going to say, for the sake of this video, there is no acid. So how do they solo fiction? Well, in Space Jam 2, one of the most remarkable, groundbreaking films of our time, we see that LeBron James ends up seeing Bugs Bunny die on the basketball court and his soul ascends into heaven, just for the scene to change and for Bugs Bunny to be back, claiming that toons cannot be killed. And based off that alone, it's simple. They're indestructible. Sure, they are not able to really bring a heavy hit to the table, but they are able to take that heavy hit. Like, just imagine for a second Goku's going Super Saiyan, and he ends up breaking Daffy's neck just for Daffy to turn around and go,
"You're despicable."
Like, it's simply too overpowered. They can't die, so up next on the chopping block, we got Discord from My Little Pony. The absolute magnitude that this man brings to the battlefield is too absurd. Basically, his power is infinity. He can do whatever the hell he wants, whenever the hell he wants, in any order, anytime. He can not only manipulate reality, time, space, he's pretty much Thanos without all the BS. And by the snap of his fingers, the blink of his eye, all of reality is his. And the only way they end up beating him in the show is by tricking him and stalling for time and using these stupid magical gems that only turn him to stone. So they can't kill him per se, they can only stutter his movements. They can't outright destroy him. So in that sense, Discord is the most powerful entity on par with God himself. In fact, he is so powerful, the only way they were able to contain him is through the power of friendship, which that's in and of itself too far. Like, the power of friendship goes beyond anything that I can even measure in this competition right now. It would solo everything. I can't put a number to it. Next, we got Yujiro Hanma from Baky. I was really debating on whether or not I should put a human on this list, just because it felt kind of unfair. It's easy. This guy is kind of strong and he's a good fighter. Big whoop, who cares? I'm a big fighter. I could be able to fight like 2 people at once if they're like under 90 pounds, but still. And then I realized that Yujiro Hanma has a very special ability in that he uses ancient Tibetan monk techniques. Now, if you ever hear someone say that they trained under an ancient Tibetan monk that taught them some kind of wacky thing and they're about to use it on you, enough is enough. You gotta dig your own grave, pal. It's over for you. And that's kind of with Yujiro Hanma. He would be able to take a punch and be able to use some ancient technique that they taught him in the mountains 20 years ago to evade any attack at any time and rip your face off. So it don't matter what you throw at him, because the ancient Tibetan monks win. They are too overpowered. Matter of fact, I don't know why I didn't just put them at number 5 on this list. Oh, this isn't in order, but still. I should have been putting them on this list. Ancient Tibetan monks are the most overpowered people in fiction. Hell, even take a look at Batman. Batman I'm not having on this list because I still think he's pretty weak, but even he had ancient Tibetan monk techniques that were taught to him and he was able to use against the villains. You don't fuck with them, bro. Next, this is probably going to be the most easiest pick of my life, Saitama from One Punch Man. Enough said, he's super strong and I think he could solo Goku. All right, the next one I'm going to talk about is Steve from Minecraft. Pretty powerful entity. He's able to mine any resource he wants whatsoever, and he can put that into a crafting table and make whatever the hell he wants in the blink of an eye. But I'm not talking about survival Steve. I'm talking about creative Steve. That's on par with the Discord. We're talking about god level abilities here. And when you have someone who can fly, teleport, and use command blocks, reality is his. I mean, he's also a middle-aged man, so that's even more scary. Next, we have another pick, which I think people were going to be seeing through this video, Uncle Grandpa. Now, I've never actually seen Uncle Grandpa. I didn't grow up with that kind of shit. I grew up with, like, Phineas and Ferb, you know, the classics. Uncle Grandpa, though, from what I've heard, can solo fiction. In fact, I do think he is the strongest character ever created, just because he can pretty much do anything. Yeah, another obvious spot right here. All right, almost done this list. But next, we have the entirety of the regular show cast. Now, I was just gonna put Mordecai and Rigby, but then I realized without Skips, Muscle Man, they really wouldn't be that much of a powerhouse. So I'm just gonna bundle them all up into the entire cast, because simply put, this is how it would go. Conquest would come down and they would say, stand ready for my arrival. And then Benson would finally come out and say, if you don't deal with Conquest, you'll be fired. Skips will say, I think I've seen this thing before. And then Muscle Man would say, yeah, I know a guy with... And then all of a sudden, they defeat Conquest. Anything that you pit up against these guys will be immediately null and void. You cannot defeat them. And last but not least, the last person I have on this roster is Roger Smith from American Dad. I was also thinking about this because Roger Smith has easily been defeated before, usually by trickery, drugs, alcohol, or someone just being mean to him. So there's clearly a weakness there, but then I started thinking about the feats of strength that he is able to do. He has so many personas, and those personas are all just one alien. But those aliens can be at multiple places at once, meaning he is so fast that he could be at 2 places at once. Not even the Flash, not even Terrence could be at 2 places at once. That's how fast we're talking about. And not only that, his personas also are so in detailed that he could have superhuman strength, super speed, flexibility, and even change his entire body to fit the persona that he's trying to do. So no matter what situation he is in, he always seems to get out alive and he never dies. I don't think Roger Smith is the strongest character. The reason I put him on this list is if you're taking characters like Superman, Flash, I'm pretty sure he could stand toe-to-toe with a good majority of them. But I do think he's the weakest of this cast. So that's my big ass list. Who do I think is the most powerful person in fiction? I don't care. Let this argument die. It's not that important. But if I were to put one person there, it would be Ian and Anthony from Smosh.